Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate their spiritual awakening process. And this video is going to be the October 2016 New Moon Energy Update. So typically I break down the various themes that I feel are present within the energies of whatever moon I'm doing an update for. And this one is going to have 5 different themes I'm going to mention, okay? But before I get into that, I just want to sort of give my general impression of what I'm feeling, and that is that this new moon feels somewhat like what you would expect from a stereotypical new moon. What I mean by that is sometimes, new moons typically represent new things, obviously, to go along with what you would expect. New things coming in, new ideas, new inspiration. Set your intentions for what you want to create. You're thinking about your future and you're sort of just contemplating a direction you want to go in, and it just happens to be oftentimes like the beginning of a new cycle, essentially. Sometimes full new moons can be freaking rough and they can feel like a full moon, and it can feel like everything's just breaking down and life is going insane and chaotic. Well, this moon, as I mentioned, feels more like a typical new moon where there will be a lot of a present underlying theme to a lot of it is going to be new. And that can manifest in many ways. But again, here now I will get into 5 more specific themes about this new moon. The first one is you might find yourself having what came to mind as like gusts of new, inspired thoughts, ideas, visions for yourself. These are, you guys in particular, the type of people that would watch this, experience this in a deeper way than the surface of what you might assume based on what I said. It's not just a simple thing as getting a new idea. I'm talking like you now can sort of like connect to like aspects of your consciousness that you for the longest time weren't unable to connect to. And even though it's a bit premature, there are times like now during this new moon cycle where you can tap in, and some people describe it as like downloading ideas. And you just feel like you're tapped into a source of your own energy, and it comes forth in like ideas that have a couple qualities. One of them, they're like good ideas. Like, oh, wow, damn, that's a great idea. That's totally perfect and fitting for what I want or whatever. Also, it carries with it a feeling of optimism and excitement and enthusiasm. Just a big like download of these awesome ideas, this awesome energy. I just made a video recently about connecting with your higher self. And a lot of the symptoms, I'm not going to get into it now, but I mentioned all the different symptoms that indicate whether you're connected to your higher self or not. All those symptoms in that video, if you've seen it, are similar to what it feels like to be connected to that flow. Because that's in a sense what's happening. You're connected to your higher self, other aspects, higher aspects of your consciousness. And it's now like where before you weren't aware enough to perceive it, but now you're doing less filtering, and it's like coming through. And you're like, oh, damn, oh, shit. What I recommend, write those ideas down, man, because you can have ideas, but it's up to you to ground them and make them and put them into earthly an application. Again, grounding them, doing something with them. So I'd recommend writing them down. Also, be aware that this sort of like feeling will wipe you out pretty quick, because our bodies are not used to handling that high of frequency energy. But it's tempting to constantly try to like do, because it feels really good and you're excited. But again, be cool with it. You'll learn to tame it, and you'll learn what you can handle as time goes on. Number 2, I'm just going to get into some of like the physical symptoms that are associated with this type of energy. For a while, it's now changing, but for a while we are going through like this massive catharsis, this purging, this cleansing. And those types of ascension symptoms that correlate with that type of cycle, you could say, are different. That's where you feel like very like you get sick all the time, you feel tired, you just like, there's like physical manifestations and representations of a cleansing. You might have like, bad gas or diarrhea, throwing up, some way of purging, a physical representation of some sort of purging. A lot of it manifests in like sinus issues, that sort of thing. And not that none of you will have that, but the type of energy now, again, is like, it's like high frequency, fast moving, fast paced, bursting into newness in whatever way that resonates with you. And that brings on its own symptoms. That's more of a positive energy. It's kind of exciting, but there are symptoms because it comes in these like gusts, these bursts, and it can be a lot for our bodies to handle. So what you might feel now is more of like the abnormal ascension symptoms. Not so much like, oh, I have a cold or I'm getting sick a lot. That is more of like a normal situation that whether you're going through an ascension or not, you can experience. But I'm talking more like the energy rushes, dizzy, feeling like dizzy for no reason at all, heart palpitations, ringing in the ears, fatigue because it can kind of burn you out, chakra blockages, more like Kundalini type energetic related symptoms you might experience. But it's okay. It's a good sign, man. It's a sign that your body's like being filled with a lot of energy, and it'll adapt as it always does. Number 3 is that there might be a theme, a relationship theme, and it can take many forms in this energy. You might be feeling alone. You might be like realizing like what can happen a lot is you have very clear situations within your relationships that cause you and provoke you to make a change. A lot of times it involves you realizing that you no longer want to be in this relationship because you've just changed so much. And people, it's not that they're bad or mean, or it's just they're not at that rate of change, for better or worse. It's irrelevant, and it's just no longer a match. And when two people who are not a match, like out of their mental definitions, like force themselves to stay in any sort of relationship, it manifests just as two unlike energies don't match. It'll manifest situations that eventually you'll break apart. And a lot of you guys have done that. I'm not saying that's going to happen now. I'm saying a lot of you guys have done that, and yet you might find that no one else has come in. You're still in that relationship void. You feel very lonely, and then you start to question it. Like, was that the right move? Was I being too picky? Are my expectations unrealistic of what I expect in a friend? Is that even possible to find people out there that are going to be a vibrational match for me? And you might just be having this conversation in your head. Old friends might pop back into your life, and this could be all over the place. Okay, but there'll be some relationship clarity coming on board for whatever. I'm not going to tell you how it's going to be or what you're going to figure out. That's for you to decide. But you'll find yourself perhaps evaluating your roles in various relationships, and you just might be thinking a lot about that. But in the beginning, it'll feel like relationship issue confusion, like, oh my God, like you feel like you're just upside down. But the new moon is going to help illuminate that. But the way it illuminates that is by like forcing you to think about that, bringing in situations into your life. And initially, it's like, oh my goodness, I feel less clear than ever. I question everything involved in this. But again, from that will come clarity. Next one, you might find that what happens a lot of times, and this is why a lot of people, they don't buy into the whole law of attraction thing, because again, right now you're sort of getting these ideas, these new things, and this might not be just today, it might have been going on for some time, and you've done a lot of work and you're kind of like birthing into a new path, you could say, and it's exciting, and it's like it's going to stretch you to be the best version of yourself, and what'll happen is you might attract a temporary intensification or magnification of habits, of just self-destructive silly habits, whether it's eating too much ice cream, or it could be something small like that. Maybe you guys smoke too much weed or drink too much, stuff like that doesn't really line up with this future projection of yourself. And rather than have it be at its stasis, like normal, rather than you indulging at your normal rate, you'll feel like more like fiendish than ever. And that's to show you that you got some issues with this thing. Why are you doing so much of this when you have this vision, and this you'll see clearly gets in the way of that. It prevents you from being consistent with your efforts towards this future goal. And sometimes you need this acceleration of a particular bad habit, whether to varying degrees. Maybe for some of you it's crazy big, you're like a straight up junkie, like I used to be, or it's just something silly, something minor, but again is not compatible and will it will accelerate the closer you get to this future projection, and unless you deal with it, it'll never let you reach that point that you want to get to. So just use the data, use the information. Don't look at it like, oh wow, I've regressed, I'm so unspiritual. Look at how compulsive I am and neurotic I am and whatnot. No. These energies will provoke and amplify little aspects of yourself, and just to show you that you got to look in this direction, man. It's not that you're a bad person, it's not that you regress. In fact, you're progressing, and that's why it's happening, because now you're ready to let it go. So if you can see that in that way, rather than get down on yourself, you can transform yourself very quickly from this new moon. And lastly, I believe that you guys, even though there's work to be done, a lot of you have certainly built up a momentum, and the momentum is picking up steam now. And though you haven't brought perhaps your grand vision of your life into perfect fruition yet, you will perhaps have an optimistic sense that you are heading in the right direction. There's still things you're working through. You're not done. You're not perfect. You're not super enlightened all the time. But in fact, I had an analogy that stuck with me, that popped in my head the other day. I'm going to share with you. It's kind of like I used to be a medical marijuana grower. And I used to grow huge, big-ass plants to stay within like the legal limits. We'd grow these freaking trees. So what that would require is multiple transplants, where you grow a little plant in a little pot. Once it gets fills out the pot, you put it into a bigger pot. When you do these transplants, what happens is you obviously you take it out of the small pot, you put it in a bigger pot, and in the beginning the plant doesn't do anything. It kind of seems to stop growing, and it just kind of sits there. But there's a lot going on underneath the surface. And if you were the plant and you were to look around, you'd see dirt, you'd see a bucket. Nothing really has changed, but there's more space for you to spread your roots. And that's what's happening. The plant is spreading its roots. And once it takes hold, growers will say the plant starts to take off. Okay? And that's kind of what you're getting close to doing. You're getting close to taking off. Right now, you're spreading your roots. The top growth is starting to come again faster and faster and faster and faster. There's still more roots to be spreading out. There's more little issues to deal with here and there, but you're getting a decent foundation now, a foundation is the best way to put it. And once that foundation is solid, you will just explode with growth, forward progress, physicalized manifestation of all the inner work you've been doing. You're getting close, man, and you can feel it. You might feel that way now. You feel optimistic, like, wow, I'm not there yet, but I'm really getting somewhere. I feel like I'm about to turn that corner, about to really really getting ready to take off. It's a cool feeling, man. But within that, you have your stereotypical moon energy symptoms, where you feel a little emotional and maybe unbalanced as you sort through these issues that are now thrown into your lap for good reason. But again, underlying, if you decide to, you can tap in to the remembrance of all the work you've done thus far, and you might find that easy to do, because again, you might have a general optimism. You're not there yet, but you're starting to believe in a more practical way that your dreams are a legit possibility. So that's it, guys. I thank you for watching. I thank you for the love and the support. I wish you guys a badass, awesome new moon, weekend, etc. I'll speak to you next week. Have a good one. Peace.